Slot. Let's call the meeting to order. Roll call. Tim?
Yep.
Scott? Here. I'm here. So is Danelle. Is there any public comments? Can I get a motion to approve the April 2025 finance meeting minutes?
Motion made. Support.
All in favor, say aye.
And
All right, items of business, budget summary.
So I actually was able to get the numbers from the county. So we're all set, with the every numbers coming, from the state. Our taxable value, which is state 2025, not 2024. So this shows everything that we'll be capturing. The road bond went up to accommodate for construction costs and bond payments. We're gonna be on the council, or it'll be going to the council to approve this budget summary, but we'll approve that, so I just wanted to let you guys know that to increase it to where it needs to be to pay for all the payments coming up this coming year. That's all, that's on here. These are all the numbers that came from the county and the assessor, so you can see where all the revenue that's gonna come in for taxes for here. You have any questions?
Any questions?
I did learn that because the ambulance is a special assessment, that it doesn't get impacted by Headley. And the fire operating is an operating tax, so that does get hit with the Headley, so every year it's gonna go down. A little bit, whatever the rate is that they go, less the inflation or. Other numbers that they take into consideration, but. So when we go to do that again, which I let Dan know, we should probably try to do a special for anything like fire and ambulance, so that it never is going down. It always just stays the same for whenever it is expired in the language, so.
Is that something like the library that we voted on a couple weeks ago that we can make it stay, every year we put it back up at 2?
Or one,
So it's normally 1 and then we added 1.
no, so it's, what they need to do, which is actually in the fiscal agency agreement, they need to come to us in March.
Okay.
Asking what they need, because it doesn't have to be a full 1. They can come in and say they want, they only need 0.7 for the year. Whatever they need to cover their expenses, then it's up to us to vote that in. Now, if they want to go to the people and get a operating millage, they can get up to 1. They can have no more than 2 millages, but only 1 is voted by us in here and 1 would be voted in with the residents. So that 1 is what they asked for, because if we don't vote, then it just goes down with the Headley.
So right now it's 1.96.
No, that's fire operating. Up the one that's 1.0.
For the library?
Mhm.
Right. But we can't do the same thing for the fire one that we
Right.
did for the, okay.
Right, that's for the state, that's the state
Okay.
statute, so for the library. So they're at, I can't remember the exact number.
Right.
That is what it says in the statute, so. And then it is reiterated in the fiscal agency agreement that they are supposed to come to us by March 15th every year to. Ask us for what they anticipate that they need.
Okay.
explain again the adjustment you made on the road bond.
The robot, it went up, it was 2.4, I believe, I calculated it's gonna be $50 or less more of an increase per person. So what, since the road bond is a debt, the language says you can fluctuate it for what you need for your expenses, so the council that would be one that the council votes for. The people voted for the max to be 2.6. And we can't go over it, but we can always vote for under.
For how long?
This will just be for 2025. And then next year, we would do the same thing. I would look at what we have for construction coming up. This is on my notes. And whatever bond payments we would have, and then because this is actually an Excel spreadsheet, so I put in the different rates to see what we need to capture to pay for all of our road.
So a bond is not like a personal loan. You just re-up it.
No, it has an expiration, so we have like the $1 million, so we get $1 million, and then instead of hitting our reserves or paying for that $1 million right up front, it is kind of like a loan, whereas the residents voted on it, they passed it, so they help pay for that millage helps pay to pay the bond
And
back.
how long does that voted for?
I have to find a language on
Millage.
this one. So this millage, I believe, is coming up within the next year or 2 years. But that is on my list of things to.
Would come up to be
It-
re-voted upon?
Either re-voted if we need it, or.
And how long has it been in
I
effect?
don't know, actually, I do know, it's right here, in the paperwork, actually, it's on the console.
Do you know,
I
Ken?
think so.
It's the 4029 tells the when it was implemented, which. And the 4029 is in our,
So you know that's under your draft.
actually,
Under
no, I have it right here. So. The road debt was voted in 2013 and it expires in 26. So yeah, a year. So next year is when that is expiring.
So it's a 13-year bond?
Oh, the debt, that millage, it was 13 years. And that
was
is
a
all
$1 million
language.
bond.
That is just for the road debt. But what was, I believe, part of the language was for it to pay for any road debt and bonds. So we've had 2, 3.
It was specifically for roads.
For two, yeah, that's all it is
Right.
for roads. So in 2013, one of the bonds we've had 3 bonds since 2013. So there's a 2013 bond, which matured. Then there's a 2017 bond, which is that's only 10 years. So it's due to mature in,
27.
and then we have the 23 bond, which will mature in 33. So.
So the residents voted in 13 for a road bond,
mhm.
but then you can keep going to the trough as many times as you want from there on.
To pay for the whatever debt we have coming up. I can't ask for
So,
more than what we're gonna pay for. And actually, we wouldn't be going to get enough. If I were just to put this towards our bond payment at 2.6, we wouldn't actually have enough to pay for it. I would need the difference between that was
you get
about
that.
$60,000. So that will come from Act 51 money from the state. That Act 51 money is only for major and local streets.
I think I'm thick-headed.
No,
In 2013, bond proposal was voted on
mhm,
positively.
mhm,
Yeah, you can go get a bond.
mhm.
So the city did. But then did again and again without a vote.
Well, the council would have voted. So this is just for the millage itself. So the council votes to get a bond. So
But
it's
the
up to
people
everybody
don't have to
here.
vote. They're out of it now,
Correct.
Right.
So
because they voted for it once, yes.
the 2.6 is what we voted to put on our taxes. So we're saying we will pay the city this money every year for 10 years. We would like to see this money go towards
Road.
the roads.
right.
We understand you're gonna have to
I
get a
I
bond,
understand all that,
right,
but these other bonds,
were used for roads.
For our use for just roads, that's it.
right,
Mhm.
but they have a longer term
Mhm.
than,
Right, so it's gonna be up to, we're either gonna have to go back to the people if we need to. But that's part of what I need to do, is figure out
this
how much we have
expires in
reserved.
26. That
Yes,
original,
right, and our bond is till 33, so I will need to figure out all the numbers to see if we have enough in our reserve from, because we get for the last, I don't know how many years, our Act 51 money, which comes from the state for only roads, has been increased. So some of that sits in a reserve. And I don't wanna touch that, because I know that in 26,
we won't
We're-
have the
we
2
won't
point,
have this, and we possibly might not get, I mean, everyone can vote yes and everyone can vote no, but we don't know what that outcome is gonna be.
that's just a year from now.
So right now, I mean, with it's still going up again, the Act 51 is projected to go up again for 26. But there, I mean,
That's
we
not
won't
bad.
know that, and because the state's fiscal year is different. We're in June in there, and
Refresh my memory, I was thinking that Act 51 was for road use, but the sides of the road for bikes and walking or running,
oh, it's for, like,
or
it's
is
all
that
divvied up.
another number?
I don't
That
know.
I'm
if there's another
confusing
number, but
with.
I think it's all together. So any kind of construction we do on the roads is, you can only use, that's all you can use the Act 51 money for. So whether it's a bike lane or crack and seal or complete
Yeah, it doesn't
construction,
matter.
yeah, it has to be
51
used.
covers it all.
Yeah.
I thought there was a specific that was just for, that we could get in addition
Like a
to,
right of way almost, but for bikes and,
yeah,
In the past, Tim, you were absolutely correct.
Okay.
It used to be,
Divvied
before
out.
they redid everything, it used to be, it had to be strictly non-motorized use,
gotcha,
bikes, walking paths.
and now it's.
on the road
Correct.
or right
On
of
the
way
Now our
or
roads
whatever.
suck.
Now it's just everything.
Yes, road maintenance.
Now, it was an additional to funding that we received. The 51 was. Now they just call it 51 period,
It's, yeah, the Act.
and we get
51.
major roads and local,
It's all just Act 51 money.
and we get more for major than we do for local or none for local.
It's like 70-30. So major 70, local 30.
Okay,
Is usually how it's divvied up. And then major and local, you can go between the two. So I could transfer from major to local because we have more local streets than we do majors. It's just all about the journal entries.
but the state only funds major.
Both, they do both. So when you get it
70-30,
in, yeah, that's how they divvy it up. But if we need to transfer between the two, we can. Like in our funds. We have to have, it just has to be you have to journalize it right so that you can track it and. That's all.
Anything that would be federal or DOT would be major only.
Right, and this is from the state, so they divvy it up for us. And that's how we receive it in, and how they give us a receipt, that's how we have to receive it in.
But then once you receive it, you do whatever
As
you
long
want.
as, right, as long as it's towards the roads. And we have to do what do you guys call it, TMC?
Yeah.
I just say TM. Yeah, but
TMC.
TMC, but we have to do reporting at the end date December every year.
What you use it for.
Yeah.
Any more questions before we move on to the preliminary budget? No, we kind of touched on the budget during this, but.
Yeah, it's just on there. I mean, I haven't changed anything besides I added the new, revenue money that would, with all the updated numbers for this budget summary.
Does anybody have any questions on the preliminary budget then?
Again, my head's too thick for it. No,
No,
Right, then election election pay for clerk.
okay, so Scott wanted us to look into what others do, so do you wanna kind of, we've found a lot of myths,
Yeah,
like,
what other municipalities? do?
Yeah. a lot more local, they pay per election. Townships are different than cities, townships are different, statutory. Responsibilities slash rules, laws.
The majority are, they pay per election. That amount,
flat fee,
the average, I think, was about $1,000 for an election.
which is over and above your salary.
Yes. Some of them give raises to the clerks, because of, in the last few years, because elections have gotten so complicated, and even so they gave them just a raise, period. But, I mean, and a lot of clerks feel the same way. I don't feel like you should get. I mean, I feel like, a raise is a raise, and to raise it up, and when you're only doing, one election a year, like this year, I could possibly only do one election. So I think it's more fair to do it per election, not just raise, or, because, 1 year I might have 4 elections, 1 year I might have 1,
Right.
I just think it's a little, we figured out the hours of what I'm putting in for every election, and this last election was the smallest election that I'll do. And it was
Only 4 days.
4 days, so. Was 4 8-hour days, but I mean, if you stretched out to a week, it was,
It definitely seems.
yeah, I mean, it takes away from, when I'm here, the regular hours I do too. So, I have to make up for all that stuff that I still have to do.
So you separate the two.
You mean, do I count it? I don't,
But-
because I'm salary, so it doesn't, I don't really keep track of it because
It's
it
all,
doesn't, I don't get paid for. It's depressing to do that. But I think, I think in the past, if you did, because I have to work 8 hours before I have to work 8 hours on Saturday or Sunday before an election. That's the state law. And then obviously the day of the election is usually about 18-hour day. And then all the other things I have to do, training and all the stuff that's outside of my normal 8 hours in a day.
Yeah, because a lot of trainings, like one training is always in the evening.
Yeah. And, I have to do that every 2 years. And then, we have meetings.
train those that work.
No, I
You have to do training.
no, we have to all go training
Okay.
every 2 years. And that's always after hours. And then just with all of the election changes every election.
Right.
There's more and more stuff we have to learn and do. The 9-day early voting, even though we don't run them, I have to work with them. So that's another, if I don't get one that's during the day
Right.
and if we're weekend, that's another 20 hours. I would be fine with giving me comp time, having, using that, being able to use time instead of being paid. I don't,
Or vacation days.
Yeah.
instead of Getting
I mean,
paid.
that's something, I feel like it would put. Well,
Financial strain.
yeah, yeah. But still, I'm getting a little bit compensated for the extra hours.
So is there a proposal in front of us?
No, we don't even have to, we don't have to do it right now. if we don't
Is
want
that on our city council agenda to talk?
It isn't, it's just
Okay.
kind of the
to.
first.
We were just kind of talking about it.
Okay.
So this
You
is the
guys.
first
Yeah.
draft, so to speak,
Yeah.
Mhm.
first discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, what your
Okay.
guys' thoughts are.
Because I was wondering
Yeah,
if
Came from.
if I missed something previously.
Well, Scott suggested bringing it to the table, so.
for sure. I'll bring that up in committee reports towards the end of the meeting and it's. Have everybody kind of think about what they would think is fair. And then maybe we'll talk about putting it on the agenda for next month. As a voting thing for the council.
And for years previous, there's been no compensation.
Correct.
And it's really gotten to where now it's because there's so much to do now. I mean, there's way more than used to be, and in every election, it seems like it's even more stuff and with security now and. Although, it's a lot, I mean, it's a lot more.
Is this something we'd add to your agreement?
Yeah, we just put it in and added to contract.
Is there language in your contract currently that probably should write better, but that identifies you can take pay or comp?
I mean, no, there's nothing.
I don't think there's anything in there about the elections, like specifically.
I just meant in
It just says
general,
that,
if she can
yeah.
go for comp time, so we don't have to address it, if she wants to take comp. If we approve a package, I just wanted to see if we can make sure it's,
Yeah, I
It's
would-
smart to have a whole election section. for
Yeah.
her In her contract.
Yeah, I mean, it
Even
could be
saying-
added on as a amendment to the, my.
Purchase agreement.
Okay, so, I got a hold of Burlingame. And Burlingame, wanted to add I think to the payment of property taxes. In here,
I'm probably- is it?
The
Oh, yeah.
bottom one, the
Yeah.
property taxes for the year of closing shall be prorated
Yes,
as of the date of closing.
There are none,
Yes.
are there?
Not, he wants it in there after they're done,
with the tip,
to make sure that once the tip is over,
they're still
that it
gonna.
states in there, we will be getting.
Yes, and
Yeah.
so I sent that to Brian. And he returned with a whole new purchase agreement. Taking us out of the closing. Because we were in with the closing to pay for closing costs. So that is changed, which it's $1 to,
Right.
but so it wouldn't have been anything, but he did take that out so that. We would not be responsible for anything clothing. So he sent it back to us. I sent it back to Burlingame. He said it looked fine, but he never added in the part for the payment of property taxes. So I emailed Ryan without, but then Kim finally emailed because I never heard back and he is
On vacation.
on vacation. So I don't know if we
We're
go
trying to get it to
to,
us this week.
yeah, I don't know if when we go to council, if you guys wanna say, like, to approve it with that added in, like after that gets added in.
Okay.
Kind of thing, perhaps do it that way we don't have to wait again until June for the next meeting.
And I believe they want it for the.
And they,
the
what
grant,
LOI,
too.
yeah.
and we still haven't decided or aren't doing a public hearing to see what neighbors think of.
Well, I think we did that all originally, when we
Yeah.
first did the, I mean.
Which I can't speak,
I think we had a full meeting.
Yeah.
Just where
a special meeting.
Brian. He
Yeah,
came in
Brian,
and
yeah.
talked to us. And then we kind of sat and talked after he left about everything and there was an open meeting.
Yeah,
Brian Farkas.
Yep.
That's all I have on this.
Okay. Anything else from either of you?
So we're voting on that tonight.
Why is time of the essence? In bold print or all caps, 5. Miscellaneous 19. Cause this drug on for 3-4 years.
Oh,
This is a new one though.
Yeah, this is a new one, and I believe that is because the LOI
Yeah.
was already, we already submitted for the LOI, so for this grant. They want this to show,
That
We are
we
committed.
don't, if we go over that grant and money, there's somebody who's gonna pay for it.
yeah,
They wanna know that, so that's purchase agreement will.
show that we are in agreement with them, whether we could still pull out. And then we would just pull out of the grant as well. But this is, yeah, we need this because Lenore from the state is asking.
RFPs for IT.
So, we've kind of all had our bit to be tied with who we have right now. So I went and put out an RFP to get quotes for our IT. To see what is
So
out there.
these two are
The ones that I
new
got,
people.
yeah. These are what I.
Neither are
our-
what we currently have.
Right,
Our current one didn't. look
no,
good.
I,
Didn't even respond.
no, not at all. Nope, I emailed him personally saying what we were doing and I didn't get any response from or a bid, so I didn't know if I would make.
GIC, is that the name? of
Graycon,
Okemos?
Graycon is actually, so they do the LSW, so they're, the owner is local from Scenic Lake. So it's someone that would be local, that would be.
And their price compared to what we've been paying?
Well,
It's hard to say because
we don't.
we don't know what our,
Yeah.
he like,
We-
bills us like every 3 years.
Yeah, we already argued, we get a bill one
Yeah.
time, and we got a bill for like 30,000 for 3 years.
Yes.
And there's things that I've been asking for since I started over a year ago that has not been addressed.
So
So,
we're just, I mean, the security, I'm nervous about security, Dan's nervous about security. We just don't know if we're up to par, we have no idea.
I can tell you when I went back in that little computer room that I was, there's things that said that. So, I mean, it does scan every day that yeah, and I think it like reboots, it scans everything, but then an update, like he needs to go in and manually update everything if there's an update, and there's things that were like 3 months old that need to be updated. All you have to go in and do is click update from, I mean, you can go in remotely. So it's like, okay, well, what is that needs to be updated?
But
Okay.
it may or may not.
Yeah, and I mean, I have tons of security stuff that I am dealing with the elections and stuff, and Dan does too, and neither one of us have a clue if we're up to date on what we're supposed to be, I mean,
And a call to him,
But,
it's a
I mean,
crapshoot whether we get a call back or you have to call them again.
well, there was one, I don't remember what it was, but.
to the-
I emailed him twice, and then I finally had Cassie, I said to Cassie, why don't you do it? And you email him with those scans,
Yeah.
and it still hasn't been fixed. Because when we lost power, something sorted, like something happened in our server and our scanning.
Stop working.
Stopped working, actually, I don't think yours is working at all still.
Yeah.
But I asked for backups, because he said that they were available, because there was a bunch of stuff that I had scanned prior to it that I didn't want to have to scan, because it was all the bills for 1 month. And it's never been, oh yeah, there is there, but he's never done it. It's just, it's not reliable.
we don't have a real contract with him presently.
I could not
We
find
can't
one
find anything, he's been here
for a long time.
forever, I mean, long time. Cause he
Yeah,
lives
he's just a
here,
one-man show, isn't he?
he is now.
Local,
Not
He
anymore.
was.
He
Not
moved, yeah,
anymore.
he was, well, he was, when I started, he was in Hazlet.
Yep.
Now he's up north.
So, yeah, so these are the RFPs,
well,
Raycon would be nice because they're local. BlackRock, is who Perry uses, they're like double the price.
yeah, I read them both and.
The only upside that I like of BlackRock was that they have basically a help desk for BSNA, which is the software we use. But we can get a hold of BSNA ourselves. But that to me is the only big difference between the two. but I'm not an IT person, so I can't say for sure.
If you're an IT person, maybe you wouldn't be a treasurer. That BlackRock do criminal justice stuff?
Yes. Yeah, they're the ones that Perry just switched over to them, like, I think in the fall.
Cause the FBI is all over that lately.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and they were, I like,
Yeah, they have,
they were,
they're big.
they're big,
Like,
yeah,
they're a big company, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they related to the BlackRock? The Wall Street boys
Yeah,
Mm.
I don't
that
know.
own the world.
Oh, I don't know.
then they probably, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Then the last thing, C2A amendments.
Okay, so the kayak launch, so that original budget was done in 2021. So they had to revamp things. And prices have gone up, so that had gone up. We used everything that was left over from then till now. And bidding, which is on the amendment, was never included in it, and we're ready to put that out for bid now. So we have to approve for it to go to bidding so that we can pay for it, and then design. They did all the stuff that we needed to do to take it to the DNR for the trust fund for the grant. Adam,
It's basically just because it's pixels.
yeah, and which had nothing to do with us, that was all on the state and giving us.
Off the top of my head, I'm still looking for it. Weren't we gonna be out another 15 grand?
35,
It was 10 for it was 10 for
10 for design,
Design.
35 for bidding.
bidding, yes. Which is all part of the grant funding, it's just that portion of it is going over than what originally was projected. And all this, it tells what everything is, so the services scope. It explains what, what all of it is going towards. I went backwards.
That's on council.
Yeah, because you guys have to approve it, because it is going, yeah. It is going to go over.
Right.
What was approved in 21.
Which we talked about it and we even saw.
It was
Yeah.
possibly
Right.
gonna go over because it's been so long. And then the amendment for the streets, that is going up because we added the parking lot in. And that will be something that will just come out of the 150, or it'll be something that we could split with the school. It depends on how you wanna look at it.
And then under other Cook Foundation,
So that was just, so the Cook Foundation pulling out of the grant.
right,
So I signed the determination as our being their fiscal agent, I signed the termination and I wrote a check for $80,000, which will be in our bills.
Yeah.
So that's what that $80,000 is, was they pulled out and they want. No, just the net one. That's what that is.
They're out. Maybe temporarily.
Yeah, it might not, it's just depends on, they have other things we get in order at the library before we start. Buying a building or building a building.
We go backwards a little bit to C2A.
Yep.
So for the city streets and parking lot, 87,
That's not how much more it's gonna be. FYI.
and it was right in front of,
It's a very-
Page 61, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
I got it. So we're not paying them another,
87, no, it's the 15, which includes the having to do, more for the parking lot, 'cause they had to, I mean, they weren't the ones that engineered it. So they had to get.
who did?
Levitt and Start, so they worked with, the school did it.
The school got
Without-
the bid for the first one. We had to
from
rebid
us.
it.
So we had no say, and when I met with them, they said, well, who's going to, take reins on it, I said, well, I will. Because now
Which
we
saved us
have-
money because
Yes.
we put it in with our, instead of having the school do it separately. And then we would have had to pay half for that, and so we lumped it in with our roads.
What's there left to do besides pave it?
Oh, they have a lot
Well,
of
they
stuff
have
they wanna do,
Curb and
sidewalk.
School wants to
Yeah,
do.
because they wanna take and make that one whole parking lot, instead of having that drive that comes out and all that mini little spot that you can barely
So
park
the
in.
drive. Didn't you? No,
Well, they
That's
made
not
a
true.
bus drive,
Yeah,
yeah,
and then everything that's in front, they wanna make one whole, so they're gonna have to take out and redo, but we're only paying for our part that week.
I was over looking at it, walked over and looked at it one day and was just scratching my head. Why didn't they just do it?
when we did, because it was. all
because it's money.
But it's a lot
Well,
to
we just,
refire it,
Well, that was
to remobilize and to.
that was the council decision to only do,
No,
and
they had two different phases, phase one and phase two.
yeah, they just
We're
had to,
now in phase two.
because, yeah. That was that was the school decision, they put it in different phases. So, because they wanted,
'Cause they
they
wanted
wanted
bus-
that bus lane done
Done.
right at time of school starting, and so they would have come and said, this is what we're doing in phase one, and so that's what they did, and then. We'll,
how much have we got into it so far? C2A or? I don't
close
know,
to 50.
50,
They have a lot more. But it's
50,
their
and we've
side.
got dirt.
Well, this, the
did the
storm
drain-
drain,
we did the
we
storm
paid for
drain.
the storm drain, because it was in our portion that we own with them, partner with them. So that was 30,000 right off the, right off the bat. And then
Plus-
just little things that we've paid for, like we bought this, the lamp, right, the light,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
um.
Yeah.
Anything that we've done with Adam, that Adam's looked into for us, that we've asked. Which, so that's why I just said 50, I mean, it could be just 40, but. 50 sounds like a. Yeah, but I'll kept track of its own PO.
Move on.
okay.
It's just,
Anything from you guys before we move on? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
It's perfect, the meeting is adjourned. Right. We stole 8 minutes from you this time, Dan.
That's right, I only need about 4.5.
That's what he
I
told
figured.
me for a minute. I only need 4.5, so go as long as you want.
Scott. Jason's out and pretty sure Scott. Scott, you're on police with us, right? Yeah.